Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're having a great day today. And today I just want to do a follow-up video on the one I made before. And it's called, I believe, is a Tesla / Rivian NACS deal fake? And I want to get a little more to that. I want to show you some additional information, things I had researched earlier before I even made that video. So I have knowledge as to certain things that made me look at these certain irregularities and make me scratch my head and say that's out of the ordinary. So I'm just going to show you a little more today. And so basically what I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you the forward-looking statements of all of the companies that have come out. That is, if they even have one at all. Not every company found a need to have a forward-looking statement. If you don't know what that is, it's basically a disclaimer, like, to cover you in case of a lawsuit. For example, if a company said today they're going to incorporate the North American charging standard port on their vehicle and have the Tesla adapter, then come 2025, 2026, they say that that's no longer in our interest to do that. That was a forward-looking statement. In that case, would provide them cover under the Security and Exchange rules. I want to do this as quickly as possible. I'm not going to try to get into too much detail, but I'm just going to show you just some of the differences in these statements and why you may want to scratch your head just like I scratched my head. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. Okay, first we're going to go to Ford's announcement. They were the first ones to announce. I'm going to go to them first. And this is dated May 25th, 2023. And it says Ford EV customers to gain access to 12,000 Tesla superchargers, company to add North American charging standard port in future EVs. Okay, now let's go to their forward-looking statement. Basically, like I said, it covers them in case of a lawsuit. Let's go ahead and down here. It's usually at the bottom. That's interesting. They don't have one. Ford did not see the need to cover themselves. So I guess Ford said, hey, this is what we're going to do. And we don't see a need to cover ourselves because we're going to do this. Now we're going to look at other companies. But there is one thing about Ford that I want to point out. And I'm going to point it out about another company that I'm going to show you next. And words matter. You may say it's coincidental. It's possible that it is. And this is what made me look at a lot of different announcements from these different companies to see if there was something different about them. And there is, but just look at this. If you look at this statement right here in the announcement, it says, Dearborn, Michigan, 25 May 2023, Ford Motor Company said it has reached an agreement with Tesla Motors that will provide electric vehicle customers access to more than 12,000 superchargers. You know the rest. Just pay close attention because it says Ford Motor Company said today it reached an agreement. You may say that's strange. Okay, let's go to GM's. Here is GM announcement, and it just says General Motors doubles down on commitment to a unified charging standard and expands charging access to Tesla supercharging network. GM did see the need to add a cautionary or forward-looking statement as a disclaimer, and I went over that in another video. But you notice that Ford didn't. And I'm going to show you something else that I found a bit odd, is that it says that General Motors announced a collaboration with Tesla to integrate the North American charging standard. A little different from Ford. Let's go back to Ford. So just to reiterate, GM announced a collaboration. And I'm going to go to Ford. And under Ford, it says Ford Motor Company said that it reached an agreement. Okay, now we're just going to go over to Rivian because they were the next to announce. And if you go to Rivian's site, it says today Rivian announced it has signed an agreement with Tesla to provide Rivian drivers access to the supercharging network. So you have Ford, they said it reached the agreement. And then you have GM, they announced a collaboration. When it comes to Rivian, an actual electric vehicle manufacturer, that's what they do. It says they signed an agreement. I just found it a bit odd that neither Ford nor GM states that they signed one, but specifically it says Rivian signed one. But he's like, oh, that's just one. You can't make anything up there. And I said the same thing. That's just one. Okay, let's go to the next one. Who do we have here? We have Volvo. Here's Volvo's announcement. As a part of Volvo's cars aimed to be a fully electric car maker by 2030, the company is the first European car maker to sign an agreement with Tesla. So, Rivian signed, Volvo signed. Okay, now let's go to the next one announced, which is Polestar. And right here, right at the beginning, Polestar has signed an agreement with Tesla to adopt the North American charging standard. And they do have a forward-looking statement also. So Polestar has one. Volvo does not. Volvo didn't see a need to have a disclaimer. However, Volvo is a Swedish company, and I don't believe they're on the U.S. stock exchange, so they may not have to have one under law because they're not traded on the U.S. stock exchange. And let's go to the last one to announce, Mercedes-Benz. And this is Mercedes-Benz to integrate the North American charging standard, NACS, in its electric vehicle lineup introduction in 2025. And it just goes on to say Stuttgart, Germany, Mercedes-Benz driver can use Tesla superchargers in North America starting in 2024. They would be the first German OEM to announce. I read through this, and it doesn't say that they signed anything either. I don't know, but so this is what I looked at. I just found it a bit odd that neither Ford or GM it says they signed any statements or signed anything. This could be nothing, but it did make me scratch my head. I would have to go back and forth multiple times and say, wait a minute, did they sign something? And you may not be thinking it's a big deal, but words matter, especially when it comes to legal documentation like this, things that can be used to sue them. But it doesn't say that they signed anything. It says they announced. Did Jim Farley and Elon Musk just shake hands? That's quite possibly what could have happened. And then when it got to GM, I was like, wait a minute, what's going on with this? And maybe they didn't sign anything either. They just announced it because they are a big, powerful auto manufacturer, and they don't care about making electric vehicles anyway, so why do they care? It's like, yeah, we're going to sign on this deal too. Sound like a good plan to me. But they have a disclaimer. And then Rivian, the next one to sign on, they have a very specific disclaimer. And if you saw my last video, I went over that, where it's quite specific when it says in here, all statements contained in this press release that do not relate to matters of historical fact should be considered forward-looking statements. Again, a disclaimer or CYA, including without limitation statements regarding the anticipated timing and availability of supercharger network and the incorporation of the NACS charge port in our vehicles. Very specific. And I looked at other Rivian forward-looking statements, and they were just boilerplate. They were not this specific. So it almost seems to me that they're preparing for a lawsuit, maybe because they don't trust the two companies that went ahead of them. It's my opinion that Rivian has the most to lose by switching over to CCS. And I know they were very hesitant to do it, and they wouldn't have done it unless they had a lot of pressure on them. And the reason I say it is that Rivian is still ramping up production. They're still in a very vulnerable position. They cannot really have any additional costs come up on them. And adding or switching the ports to all these vehicles, and for the ones you don't switch, then you have to provide adapters for all these other vehicles that you sold. And at that point, it may be $150,000 or more, maybe $175,000. That's a huge cost. And then all of these chargers that you installed, all these high-speed fast chargers, and all these level 2 chargers, and they're going to be up to 10,000 level 2 and like 3,500 fast chargers throughout the country. And they have to replace the connectors on those. That is a huge expense, especially for a company that's probably not even profitable right now. They can't take that risk. And that's why I say they probably will pull out. That's why I say that deal is fakest of them all, and it'd be in Rivian's best interest for them to pull out specifically. I'm specifically talking about Rivian, I'm not talking about the other car companies. These are my strategic analysis based on research. So I'm not guessing. I don't have any I don't have any feelings about this. This is not about me or my personal beliefs. I'm speaking strictly to strategy. And when I'm giving advice, it has nothing to do with my personal feelings or how, moral or ethics. I'm giving advice to a company as how I would move or maneuver if I was them. That's not something that I would do personally, but if I were them and I was trying to win, this is what I would do. But yeah, I just wanted to clear that up, and hopefully it does. And next I'm going to be talking about Toyota next, and as far as their strategy and whether or not I think they're a pretender or a faker or an EV maker. We already know it's not the latter, so it's basically which one are they, a pretender or a faker. But yeah, I'd like to thank you for joining me again today, and I'm going to see you on the next video.